The story of Jennifer Haynes is probably Australia's worst case of child abuse. She was abused sexually by her dad from the age of 4 till the age of 11. And in order to cope with this trauma, she developed 2,500 different personalities. And I asked myself, how is this possible? So psychologists have come out to say that this is possible and is a typical case of MPD. MPD simply means multipurpose personality disorder, or it can also be called DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. So today in the studio, I and my girls will be discussing the story in detail. Welcome to the studio, Ari.
Thank you for having me. But I got a 2,500. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
It's crazy. I've never imagined.
The story goes like this, that she was abused from the age of 4, and in order to cope with that abuse from that age, she started developing different personalities, like creating her mind, started creating different people, different ages, different gender, in order to cope with that abuse. So, and she created a childhood version of herself.
Wow.
A 4-year-old symphony that was able, these things were revealed during the court processes. Because she sued her dad for a period of 20-something years, and they were able within those periods to identify these personalities, to listen to these personalities. So I was like, wow, how.
So was she able to show the court all of her 2,500 personalities?
She showed not all the personalities, but the thing is that during the court processes, the jury decided that they are not going to listen to the cases because it was too traumatic for them.
Damn.
And only one judge agreed that she's going to listen to the story.
Wow.
It was so traumatic. So, during the court process, she was testifying and other personalities were testifying from her. Like, for example, a 4-year-old symphony will come out of her, not coming out of her physically, but her voice changes, her behavior changes, the age and everything changes. So this personality will come out to testify against the dad. And another personality, a male, maybe a 14-year-old male or something, will come out to testify. Another personality, maybe a 30-year-old. So different personalities changing her voice, changing her behavior.
Even changing their genders.
Wow. Not, what I mean is, I don't mean the woman is changing herself.
Yeah,
it means that
mentality, the personality.
Behavioral, she's changing. Like behavioral, okay, I'm talking like a male now, and I start talking, hello, please, can you do this to me? So that's a change in the behavior.
Yeah. So,
and psychologists have come out to say that this can be true, and this is a typical case of multipurpose personality
disorders,
or DID, which is a dissociative identity disorder.
Right.
So before we start, let's first of all understand what is multipurpose personality disorder and what is a DID. So I will read. So a multiple personality disorder, MPD, also known as dissociative identity disorder, DID, is a psychological condition characterized by the presence of 2 or more distinct personality states or identities within a single individual. Each personality may have its own name, behavioral patterns, and characteristics. So this disorder is centered on a severe form of dissociation, which is a psychological process where a person's thoughts, memories, consciousness, or sense of identity are dissociated from themselves. Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yes. So the story, she wrote a book about her story.
Oh.
And the book, I think, the girl in green dress.
The girl in a green dress.
Yes, I think that's the name of the book. So, and she was saying that for her to cope with this trauma, for her to cope with these abuses, these personalities were coming out of her. And how did it reach up to 2,500 personalities? Because let me explain. She said that she created one personality called Symphony. That's a 4-year-old Symphony,
Yeah.
a 4-year-old girl Symphony. And Symphony again, in Symphony's mind, created other personalities to cope with Symphony. You understand? Listen, it's complex. Like, okay,
It's like a loop inside.
it's like a loop. Yeah. Like, okay, I am the woman. I'm suffering from this trauma, and I created you
Yeah.
in my mind so that I can cope with this trauma.
Yeah.
And because in you, I gave you a name. Your name is Symphony, and you're a 4-year-old. So because the trauma was also very overbearing for you,
Yeah.
you created other personalities for you to cope as well.
Wow.
So it was a kind of a loop.
Damn. Did you remember what happened with all the other personalities?
They came to testify in court. It was like one person,
Yeah.
but different personalities. But the most important part is that some of the things that she can't remember,
The other personalities.
other personalities remember that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Like, she went from the age of 4,
Yeah. 211.
11, so she went as far as remembering the inner dress of her father. That means the clothes the dad was wearing on that day, and everything, and how it went.
Yeah.
For a 4-year-old child to remember that. So she created these personalities that were old enough to remember these things.
How did a 4-year-old like create that kind of a personality?
See,
An older woman, like
I'm like,
I was barely.
I'm like, what
barely
kind of trauma is
speaking.
this?
Damn, this is interesting and scary at the same time.
Yes. So, but the end story is that dad was given 45 years in prison.
I think you should have been given the
Yeah,
whole life sentence.
in 2019.
Wow.
He was sentenced for 45 years in prison for abusing this child and allowing her to create this.
Dissociative identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the good news also is that Jennifer Haynes is currently a PhD holder.
Wow.
And she has been able to a bit heal herself from those personalities over the years.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So my guest will be talking about childhood trauma today.
Sure.
So what can you say about this when it comes to childhood trauma?
Well, there can be like multiple kind of traumas for different kind of people.
Yes.
Some might have physical abuse, but some might go through emotional abuse, which parents sometimes do not recognize that they're doing to their children because they kind of like project that, oh, my child should grow up and be like this. They have their an image in their mind.
Yes.
Which is not necessarily okay for every child. It depends. It's different for every child. Someone, like for example, in my country, I would talk, the trauma which people have been talking about a lot, childhood trauma, is not being able to pursue anything other than engineering or doctor. It's crazy. Like, people commit suicide because they're not able to qualify for an exam. And parents keep on pressuring their children, you have to only do this. And I think it's also similar in case of career as well. Some parents are, no, my child is not going to go in this field or that field. That creates a very pressurizing, traumatic thing for them because they're not able to become what they want. And 10, 20 years later, they're like fucked up. Similar in cases of emotional abuse, like not being able to express their emotions. Like, I know when I was a child, my mom is the best mom in the world, obviously.
Yes.
But I was not able to express emotionally some things, which made me an emotional person now. So because it got trapped, and for some people it might be opposite,
Yes.
they will never express their emotions because since childhood they have been in that kind of environment where they're not allowed to express. If they express, they're made to feel like, oh, you're wrong, or these feelings don't matter, you're still a child, you don't know. So not validating their feelings or not validating their mental health because of anything, it can be anything, those can be mental or emotional abuse.
Yes.
But parents don't recognize this. For them, abuse is only physical.
Ah,
Right?
yes.
For most of the people, if I'm beating a child, that means, oh, I'm abusing. But if you're emotionally or mentally abusing, parents don't recognize that. They just think it's a part of the upbringing. No, it's not. It's wrong. You need to be open in communication with your child. So I would say childhood traumas don't only come from like getting physically assaulted, physically abused, but I think it comes more from emotional and mental traumas.
Wow.
Especially in an environment where you're not allowed to voice your own opinions, express your own emotions. I think that child sometimes, kind of like gets suppressed. So if they are suppressed by the society, I know society is very, very cruel.
Yes.
Still understandable. But suppressed at their homes by their parents, that's kind of very tough for the child. They don't know where to express now. Or they're afraid if they express, their parents are going to get angry at them.
Yes. But someone that had this kind of trauma, like in case of this story, in case of Jennifer Haynes' story, this story of sexual abuse, both emotionally, both physically, both everything. Is included in one person. So how does the person begin to heal from this trauma?
I think for Jennifer, it's like the worst case a child can imagine because sexual abuse is something you cannot get over with. It's very hard to heal.
Yes.
And I personally think in her case, healing is like not a destination. It's like a journey for her because it took her years to cope up with one personality at a time. Get rid of 2,500. I can't even manage my one personality properly. 2,500. Wow, that's crazy. But that girl had so much power to come up to the court, prove against her father that he did these things. It's a very big thing. I think actually, after hearing the story, I personally think these personalities helped her. To cope, to get justice, because there are people who have, I've seen many cases where the child is going through sexual abuse for like 20 years, 15 years, and they just keep shut up about it. They don't speak. They just become distant from the society and become isolated, become depressed, maybe even commit suicide. I've seen these cases. But what she did was scary, interesting, but at the same time provided justice to her. So I think her story is worth studying, like what happened, how did she develop? Because
they develop these personalities. And the most important thing is that some of the things that she didn't remember herself, the personalities will remember that. You understand? So and I when I was asking myself, how possible is this kind of multiple personality disorders? It also happens in offices, like in people. There are some people that today they have a different identity. So tomorrow they have a different identity.
And maybe a minute later.
And so a minute later they change. So you be asking them, are you not the one that did this, that said this, that acted this way a while ago? The person, no, who? I can't remember.
They don't. Our brain is very interesting, right? And scientists have not been able to discover most of the things about. Every day they're discovering something new.
Very well.
So I cannot say that this can be true. I personally think this is true because I think a couple of years ago, I saw like a Netflix movie, which is also a real life story about a guy who kidnapped, robbed, and raped multiple girls. And when he went to the court to testify what he did not remember. He did not remember. And the judge was like, you did this? What do you mean by you don't remember? And then we got to know that he had 23 other personalities.
23 other personalities,
each with a different name, different gender, different age, everything different. And one of them committed. and he doesn't remember. And neither other 22, 23 personalities also don't remember. Only that guy remembers, and he doesn't know when that guy comes out. He has no control over it. It changes. So whenever that guy comes out, I will recommend that movie to you. It's called The Monsters Inside. The Inside Monsters.
The Monsters Inside, yeah, okay.
It's crazy. That was
Wow.
the first time I got to know about this is possible. Like, what is happening? You could see there that the guy is just sitting and suddenly he's like changing. And you're like, you get goosebumps all over your body, like what's happening? And he starts talking in a very different behavior. And you get scared.
Wow.
And you're like, what? That.
Wow. I don't getting goosebumps.
That was crazy.
Wow.
So I got to know multiple persons, and that those girls escaped because they could found a way to escape. I don't remember the most of the movie, but he was found not guilty.
Wow.
He was found not guilty, and those 23 other personalities, that was his defense. And he died later of cancer, but yes, he wasn't sued or like convicted of any charges on him. He was set free. Crazy, right?
Because of multi-personality. Yes.
Yeah, he still can't remember.
Yeah, talking about trauma,
Yeah.
you know, you say something about India.
Yeah.
That most people, their parents have this, you say something about India and Korea, they have, your parents have this vision of what I want you to do in life.
Yes.
I know that can also be traumatic.
I think
Are you saying that sometimes it might be good because the parents want the good for yourself, you understand? But sometimes they might be acting in a way that might create trauma for the person. Is that what you're implying?
See, I personally think the parents are never the bad thinkers for their children. They're always thinking good.
Yes.
Exceptions, no, I'm not talking about them, but most of the time they're thinking good. But what creates trauma is not the child not being able to tell what he feels like, you know? It's like just one-sided communication.
Yes.
You have to do this. Done. Order. It's not a communication. You need to communicate with your child.
Yes.
But I think my mom is personally now very communicative, and she tells me to do whatever the hell I want to do.
Yes.
She will support it. But if you go back to not just my country, the countries where, you know, it's necessary, like forcefully you have to become something. Why do you think India has most of the engineers? When you ask this question to any engineer, any friend I have had this question, why did you want to become an engineer? My parents told me.
Wow.
99% of the time. There will be just 1% who wants to become an engineer.
Yes.
Nobody wants to become an engineer. They want to have money, yes. They love math, they love computer. That's a different deal. But forced by your parents for engineering because there was no other choice. I remember I told my mom that, hey mom, I want to become a singer. When I graduated my high school. And she said, no. Literally, like, no,
yes.
I'm not going to do that, this and that. She said, you love math. I love math. All right, so just go for engineering. I had no clue what I wanted to do after engineering. Why was I even pursuing engineering? I just did it. And then I worked in a company and I realized this is so traumatic, so stressful. I don't want it. So that I personally think in case of what you want to become, that creates a lot of trauma for a number of people, because some people get stuck for the rest of their lives. I got out, but most of my friends haven't. And they keep telling me, you got out, but we couldn't. You got out, but we couldn't. So that kind of creates a trauma where the parents never think bad for their child, but they don't give them space for opening up to them.
For opening up. The question I want to ask is talking about healing.
Yeah.
Like most people that have this kind of trauma would like to heal.
Yeah.
What are those ways that you suggest for them to start the healing process?
If you're talking about with parents, connection, like the first thing is set boundaries. I would just say set boundaries. I know you love your parents and your parents love you. There's nothing that's gonna make it different. But first thing that I personally feel is you should set boundaries. What you want to do, it's your life. Your parents can help you, support you, give you an opinion, but cannot dictate you. right, in their lives. So you need to be very vocal, like, hey, and if you can't be vocal, just don't communicate enough. Be within yourself, write with yourself, talk with people who can support you. For me, I talked with my best friend, like, hey, I want to become this, and she supported me a lot.
Yes.
I think I owe her a lot to become what I am here right now. So talk with people who support you. And if you're not able to open up your parents, I did after a while.
Okay,
I
discuss
started
with your
talking,
parents,
like,
yes.
when I started earning, then I told mom, hey, I already have this much. Now I want to try different things. And then, even then, I kind of lied about to my mom. Please, mom, if you're watching this, sorry. I lied.
Yeah.
I said to my mom, hey, mom, I'm going to study business in Korea. And she was like, okay, business is cool, go. And I came here and I knew I wanted to become a singer. And I started with modeling and acting, and now it's a different path. And now when I call my mom, she says, oh, she's a mom of a celebrity. She loves it now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you slowly, you eventually, and you with your own mind change
Yes.
how you're thinking and how you're conveying your parents. You know, all right, I made up my mind. My mom's not gonna change about this. Now, if you necessarily try to initiate a conversation saying, I want to become this, I want to do this, then it might lead to a fight most of the time.
That's right.
That is something we don't want, because you would be sad, she would be sad. The
Yes.
best thing would be to convince.
Yeah.